Good morning, Miss Lisa. So we're going to read our Alpha Tales book story this morning for letter W, and it's called Worm's Wagon. The story is written by Samantha Berger, and the pictures are drawn by Matt Phillips. So here we go with our Worm's Wagon. One day, Worm went into the woods to gather walnuts. He brought his wagon with him. And there goes Worm with his wagon. On his way home, Worm saw Woodpecker whistling in the weeping willow. Woodpecker asked Worm for a ride. Worm wiggled along, pulling Woodpecker in his wagon. Soon they came upon Weasel eating watermelon. Weasel asked Worm for a ride. Lots of words that start with W. Worm wiggled along, pulling Woodpecker and Weasel in his wagon. Before long, they bumped into Wombat, wearing her new wig. Wombat asked Worm for a ride. Look at her, she's got a yellow wig on. A wig is something you wear when you want your hair to look different or you don't have any hair to cover your head. Worm wiggled along, pulling Woodpecker, Weasel, and Wombat in his wagon. Next, they met Wolf on his way to work. Wolf asked Worm for a ride. So he's giving everybody a ride in his wagon. Worm wiggled along, pulling Woodpecker, Weasel, Wombat, and Wolf in his wagon. Soon they saw Walrus winking and waving. Walrus asked Worm for a ride. Worm wiggled along, pulling Woodpecker, Weasel, Wombat, Wolf, and Walrus in his wagon. Up ahead they saw Whale playing in the water. Whale asked Worm for a ride. Do you think he's going to be able to pull all of those animals? Look at, he already looks like it's getting a little tough for him. Worm wiggled with all his might, trying to pull Woodpecker, Weasel, Wombat, Wolf, Walrus, and Whale in the wagon. But the wagon wouldn't move. The wheels started to wobble. Why do you suppose they started to wobble? He looks like he's really struggling to try and pull it. Wham! The weight was too much for the wagon. It crashed to the ground. Oh no, my wagon, Worm cried. Don't worry, Worm, the animals said. Worm's friends worked on the wagon all afternoon. So what do you think they're going to do now? They're going to fix it. When the wagon was fixed, Worm wiggled into it. Then Wombat, Weasel, Wolf, Woodpecker, Walrus, and Whale pulled Worm all the way home, and weary Worm had a wonderful ride. So they all helped work together. All the friends worked together to get the wagon fixed, and then they were able to give Worm a ride home. So what things on this page do you see that start with a W? Can you name a few? There's Woodpecker and Worm, Whale, and he's sitting in the water. Walnuts, and they're sitting in the window. There's the wagon. There's Wolf, and on Wolf's wrist, he's wearing a watch. So lots and lots of things that start with W. Good story. So let's do our W cheer. You ready? W is for worm and wagon to pull. W is for wig, whale, wave, and wool. W is for watermelon, juicy and sweet. W is for walnuts, waffles, and wheat. Hooray for W, big and small, the wildest, wackiest letter of all. So there you go. That's a story about letter W. And W makes the w sound. So words that start with W, you should hear that w at the beginning, like whale, woodpecker. So see if you can find some things around the house today that start with that sound and that letter. Have fun. Bye.